Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining. So, today we're going to have a conversation about the violence in Gaza and also the silence of those who have been yelling Free Palestine for the last 2 years, not quite understanding what exactly it is they are speaking about. Um, I mean, these are people who, prior to October 7, probably didn't even know the difference between Hamas versus Hamas, and all of a sudden they had, so many opinions. And I think a lot of it as well is rooted in anti-Semitism. They just dove right in without actually understanding what the society is like, and without actually understanding the um, violence that is prevalent in Gaza, especially when it comes to how Hamas treats Palestinians and, of course, other tribes. That tribal warfare, which is an inherent part of their society. And all of these, free Palestine, pro-Palestine people, I like to call them the brainless watermelon people, because they just have the watermelon emoji in their profiles or whatever. So all these brainless watermelon people were basically yelling free Hamas, or sorry, free Palestine for the last 2 years. And now that Palestine is free, they have gone completely silent. Although we've just found out today, not all of them have gone silent. In fact, many of these pro Hamas groups, which claimed they were about peace and whatever, have revealed their true masks. And I mean, we always knew this about them. So this isn't new to many of us who are from the Middle East and understand what terrorism is and understand, who the terrorist groups are. Um, this actually just came out today. So a United States student group calls for death to Zionist collaborators as Hamas carries out brutal executions across Gaza. So it seems as if the pro-Palestine student groups are cheering on the mass executions of Palestinians in Gaza, right? Like they're basically cheering on that, the Arab on Arab violence, which is kind of horrific, right? I mean, you would think even if, let's say, even if these people were traitors and they were collaborating with Israel, let's say, would you not expect that in a civilized society people would have due process, that you would have people go to court, maybe have proper legal representation, maybe plead a case, maybe show evidence to prove or disprove? None of that happened. And I'm sure you've all seen the horrific footage by now. I'm not going to play it. I mean, you know what? I might as well. It is pretty troubling, right? Um, I'll play a part of it because the whole thing is just incredibly disturbing, right? Um, Let me see if I can. I know I have it here somewhere, but it basically shows. Here we go. It's it's horrifying. So you can see here. So you can basically see here, this is one example where the Hamas terrorists have rounded up Palestinians, or Gazans or whatever, which they claim that these were people who were Zionist collaborators, and they just shoot them. and they shoot them while people are surrounded, watching them, laughing, cheering on, and all of them have brand new phones for some reason. I mean, I thought these people were in a, 2-year-long genocide. Um, so 2-year-long genocide and famine, and yet they all have phones, they all have weapons, they're all cheering on the murder of their own people. And where are the Free Palestine people? I mean, I thought that we were all about saving lives and speaking out for the Palestinians. So how come no one's speaking out for these Palestinians? How come when Hamas terrorists are murdering Palestinians, that's okay, but when Israel is eliminating Hamas terrorists, all of a sudden that's an issue, right? I mean, these are the questions that I have, many other people have. I already know the answer, right? And the answer is right here. The answer is right here. Those groups who were calling for free Palestine never actually cared about peace. These groups are basically a front for jihad. These groups are a front for Islamic terrorism. And the whole free Palestine chant has been a dog whistle to promote their jihad in the West and to to increase uh, the destabilization of Western society. I mean, look, they're literally cheering on. So that scene right now that I just showed you, where those Palestinians are being surrounded and they're about to be brutally executed in public. These student groups in the United States are cheering that on. These are the people that have been imported into Western societies. I mean, I think at some point we have to realize and recognize that some cultures and some ideologies are fundamentally incompatible. And if there is a culture or an ideology that thinks it's okay to round people up and just execute them without a trial or without fair process, those people might not necessarily deserve to be in Western civilization. Just saying, right? These are the tough questions. These are the tough questions. And these are the questions that these pro Hamas people don't want you asking. They don't want you to think about. And the other thing as well is that no one ever talks about the inherent violence. I mean, some people do, but they are constantly attacked. And so I'm going to get into one person who has spoken quite extensively on Hamas and on the Palestinian conflict and has given his perspective on this. And it's a very interesting and informative perspective because, and it's not just him. There have been other Palestinians who have spoken out, and I've seen the videos, but of course, he is one of the most well known because his father is one of the founders of Hamas. His father founded that Islamic terrorist group, and he was raised in Hamas and within that ideology. Now, of course, he managed to escape, right? He managed to escape the indoctrination, but he grew up living it. So we are going to play some of his videos so that you guys can see yourselves, right? Exactly what he's all about. Here we go. So let me just, what's going on? Okay. So here's Mosab Hassan Yousef, and there's a number of video clips that I'm going to play by him if you don't know who he is. So he is the son of a founding member of Hamas, and he speaks out about and he exposes the terrorists for who they are. he also exposes the grift, right? Because this whole fake Palestinian cause is a grift that those in charge use to get money from the international community, and that money never reaches, as he calls it, starving children in Gaza, right? And so he is one of the people who says most often and most frequently that the fake Palestinian cause has been using the innocent children of Gaza um, to line the pockets of those in power. So let's listen to what he has to say here.
From the early beginning of the war and prior to the war, I came to realize that the ideological dimension of this war cannot be ignored. And I got canceled many, many years ago, some 15 years ago, when I started criticizing and questioning the scripture in Islam that encourages Muslims to harm and kill Jewish people. And I think the Jewish people are a very peaceful nation that does not look to harm the Muslims. But at least I think that we have the right, you have the right to question and say, what's going on here? Why the scripture is inciting against the Jewish people and what the world is doing about it. What other major religions is doing about it. And this is why I changed my strategy, that this is not only about Palestine. Palestine is non-existential. It's just a device that the Muslims use as a weapon against Israel and as a weapon against the Jewish people.
So that's very interesting. He says that the Palestinian cause is a weapon that the Arabs, the Muslim Arabs have been using to justify war against Israel. And if you actually go back and you look at the history of the conflict, that's exactly what you see. I mean, even when Bill Clinton tried to come up with a two-state solution, Yasser Arafat declined at the last moment. Every single time a two-state solution has been offered, the Palestinians have always rejected it, right? They've rejected it and then they've gone back into war again. And that's exactly what Mosab here is saying, right? He's basically saying that this fake Palestinian cause, this perpetual refugee status or whatever, has been weaponized in order to wage a holy war against Israel. And who better than he to understand this, given that his father founded Hamas and he was raised in that mentality, right? So he is basically exposing what happens on the inside and what goes on the inside. So let me just go back here and replay that, because this is key here.
Other major religions is doing about it. And this is why I changed my strategy, that this is not only about Palestine. Palestine is non-existential. It's just a device that the Muslims use as a weapon against Israel and as a weapon against the Jewish people. Fundamentally, Muslims think that Allah hates the Jewish people. And how can they love the Jewish people if their God that they bow 20 times a day hates the Jewish people? So I am not here to speak against the Muslims, but I want you to be aware of this fundamental problem, at least in your subconscious. You need to have this somewhere, that we have an existential threat. And now you see it in reality, how they were able to just turn the narrative against Israel in no time. And this is why from the beginning of the war, I said, Muslims, you have to back off. This is not acceptable to take the side of a terrorist group that just committed a genocide, a capital crime, unforgivable crime. by the name of resistance and by the name of occupation, colonialism, etc. Not acceptable. And now we have hundreds of millions of Muslims and Arabs spreading propaganda. And as you see, when people see it thousands of times per day, they start believing in it. It becomes real.
He makes a very good point there, and that's one of the reasons why the propaganda has been so effective is you have these, big accounts and they just repeat the same false messaging over and over and over again. It's repeated in various languages. It's repeated on Al Jazeera. As we know, Al Jazeera is the foreign mouthpiece for Qatar, not just Al Jazeera, but AJ Plus. AJ Plus is a branch of Al Jazeera that is targeted more towards younger people. So all this, narrative of the resistance and Hamas being freedom fighters and, all that fake news and stuff, he's right. It just gets repeated over and over and over and over again. And if you repeat a lie enough times, people start to believe it. So that's one clip from him. I want to go to a different one here. Let me see if I can find it. So this is a short clip that I want to play. I think there's a longer version of this as well, but again, so he's really pointing out the fake Palestinian cause, right? He's pointing out the fact that this was basically a cause created by Yasser Arafat, who's Egyptian, by the way, and all it has done is it has made the situation worse for the children of Gaza. So, I mean, of course, he could be a little more, he could be a little bit smoother, I guess, in the way he speaks, but that's just his style. He's very blunt. He's very in your face, right? It's a very, Middle Eastern sort of way of speaking as well. Just like he's just very, very direct. So here we go.
It does not end there. Now we have the problem of the pro-Palestine who are actually giving Hamas cover. They are participants in the crime. In fact, since October 7, I personally don't differentiate between Hamas and what's so-called Palestinians. Because actually there is no Palestinians. There are tribes. There is the tribe of Hamas, and there is the tribe of the Islamic Jihad, and there is the tribe of Khalil, and there is the tribe of Nablus. And each one has different interests, and all of them are conflicted. If they did not have Israel as the common enemy, they would kill each other.
So that's a really important point. He just says if they didn't have Israel as the common enemy, they would be killing each other. That's exactly what's happening right now. So as soon as